Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Liam's Daily Book Reviews here at Northam's Haunted Book Factory. Today, as promised, I will be reviewing an absolutely beautiful novel called Watership Down by Richard Adams. I was first introduced to Watership Down as a young child by watching the 1978 film with the same name at my grandmother's house, thinking it was a kid's cartoon about bunny rabbits. And in some respects, it is just that. However, when the rabbit named Fiver starts to have psychic premonitions of death and fields covered in blood, and then rabbits start attacking one another and farmers are trapping them, I started to feel honestly scared of the film, but I was still so fascinated. The animation in the film is so well drawn that the English countryside, mixed with the dark contrast of blood on fur, comes alive. The film has a great cast of actors led by John Hurt and a haunting soundtrack by Paul Simon. The movie was rebooted as a limited series on Netflix in 2018, and to be honest, I refused to watch it to begin with, as I didn't think it was going to be any good, until someone convinced me that it was worth a watch, and it most definitely is. This time the cast was headed up by James McAvoy, and though not as good as the original film, it is still true to the source material, although it's CGI, and I'm not the biggest fan of CGI. So onto the novel by the brilliant Richard Adams. The novel was published in 1972 and is Adams's first novel. It follows the story of a group of rabbits that decide to leave their warren after one of them has a psychic premonition of approaching doom. The rabbits in this novel have been anthropomorphized, meaning they have been humanized and they're made to talk with their own culture and their own language. The story follows these rabbits as they cross the beautifully described English countryside to find a new home and face the perils of being a rabbit along the way. Predators, man, automobiles, and in this story, worst of all, are the rabbits. I won't give too much away because if you haven't read it, you're in for a treat, but I will say a few things. There is a scene where they come across a burrow of large, healthy rabbits that smell strange to our heroes, and they are welcomed in to stay as long as they like. Instantly, the rabbit with the ability to sense danger, Fiver, doesn't like the situation and refuses to enter their burrow. It turns out these rabbits have an extremely disturbing secret that nearly takes the life of one of our main characters. The rabbits eventually move on and find the perfect place to start a new life called Watership Down. A place on a hill under a huge tree that overlooks southern England. Hampton, I think, is where it's set. But they soon realise that they have no female rabbits. So if they're going to survive very long, they have to make little rabbits. So from there they must travel to a large warren far across the countryside and try to acquire some of their does. This is where they meet their greatest foe of all, a battle-scarred dictator of a rabbit named General Woundwort, who's just terrifying. This book touches on so many subjects that it's a masterpiece and should never be regarded as just animal fiction. All through this novel, the rabbits tell stories of a supernatural rabbit called the Black Rabbit of Inlay. And as a teenager reading this book, the black rabbit scenes used to chill me to the bone. The book nearly ventures into supernatural horror territory. And anyone that knows me well knows that, of course, this is my favourite part of the novel. If you read this book, you'll come away from it changed, and it will immediately go on your top 10 best book list. It is definitely on mine. Richard Adams' knowledge of the inner workings of the rabbit can be attributed to R.M. Lockley's book, The Private Life of the Rabbit, which Adams studied at length in order to write this book. Obviously, I recommend this book, so do yourself a favour, come on down and buy it here, or order online, but whatever you do, don't miss out on the masterpiece. That is Richard Adams's Watership Down. So that is all for today, fellow bookworms. Please tune in tomorrow as I'll be comparing my favourite Dean Koontz book to my least favourite Dean Koontz book. I thought it was about time I reviewed something that wasn't just completely fabulous. See you all tomorrow, and like Mr. Stephen King says, read some good books and don't take no crap from no one.